how to make the best keto hot cross buns on the planet. Let's go! It's been a while since I've been able to give credit to another channel or another website, and these hot cross buns are by Low Carb Abode. They are beautifully soft, and if you get a chance, please do go visit them. I'll leave a link in the description box. You may notice that there are quite a few ingredients in this recipe. We have 4 different spices, which I'm sure you could reduce down to maybe just cinnamon if that is your choice. The reason for all these ingredients gives us a yummy, yummy result. And according to my taste tester, they taste just like hot cross buns and look really, really soft. I use dried, unsweetened cranberry in this recipe, and I can't taste the difference between the dried cranberries and regular raisins. Of course, we have lots of alternatives on this channel, so if you think this recipe is going to be too much for you and you still want hot cross buns, click on this link now and you will get a really simple but yummy tasting hot cross bun. The nutritional information and your shopping list is listed in this. The nutritional information and your shopping list is listed in the description box. Let's get into the recipe now. First up, grease and line a 9 by 13 inch pan or a similar size and set that aside. Preparing the yeast mixture next. Add a half cup of warm heavy cream to a bowl or jug, and it should heat to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius. Then add 2 1/4 teaspoons of instant dried yeast and 2 teaspoons of honey at room temperature. The yeast will feed off the honey, which will help it activate, and you won't ingest it. Whisk that together well, cover and let that rest for about 15 minutes. In the meantime, let's prepare the wet ingredients. To a bowl, add 5 eggs at room temperature and 1 egg yolk. Do save that egg white for later, as we will use it as an egg wash. This is the yeast mixture, and look how beautifully it has bloomed. Add that to the eggs. Then a half cup of Greek yogurt, 1 teaspoon of white vinegar or apple cider vinegar, a 1/4 cup of melted butter that's been cooled, 1/4 cup of sweetener and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I then whisked that together to combine, and now it looks like pancake batter. I also mixed the dry ingredients separately. I added 1 1/2 cups of almond flour to a bowl, and you can use lupin flour if you prefer. Then 6 tablespoons of coconut flour, 2 tablespoons of oat fiber, 2 tablespoons of psyllium husk powder, 2 teaspoons of xanthan gum, 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now for the optional spices, which is 1 teaspoon of cinnamon powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. I'm just going to mix that together first, then add that to the wet ingredients. And as we fold and mix those ingredients, the smell of the spices is amazing. This is my bag of unsweetened dried cranberries, which I'm using as a substitute for raisins. And I have a 1/4 cup here, which I cut smaller, so it's going to go a long way. Mix that in really well, and now to let it rest so the psyllium husk powder can absorb some of the moisture. Do let it rest for 10 minutes. If the dough still feels too wet to work with, Low Carb Abode said to add 1 tablespoon of coconut flour, mix that into the dough, then test it again. And repeat that until it's not too sticky. I ended up needing 2 extra tablespoons of coconut flour and then mixed it in. Then I measured the dough, which for me was 895 grams. This recipe yields 10 hot cross buns, so I separated the dough into 10 pieces, each weighing 89 grams. And look, you get a nice size even before proofing. Speaking of which, when you're done making the balls, place them into the baking pan, cover and let them proof for about 2 hours. It was a warm day, so mine did just fine proofing on the counter, but you can proof them in the oven too if you like. Set your oven to 350 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit. Set your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 Celsius. Honestly, I was so surprised at how much bigger they got. Some of them are now touching each other. The next step is completely optional. I'm going to score them so I can get grooves for my icing to sit in and I can get a great thumbnail. It is completely fine to just place the icing on top later. Grab that egg white we set aside earlier and mix in 1 tablespoon of water with it. Then brush the buns so the surface is coated in the egg wash. I then covered it with foil and baked for 25 minutes. Removed the foil, then baked for another 20 minutes. The original recipe says to just bake for the 25 minutes, but I found that I needed longer and that is okay. Also, do let them cool before adding the icing. I just have a caveat on the icing recipe. I adjusted Low Carb Abode's recipe so I could get a thicker icing. To prepare the icing, I added 1/4 cup of powdered sweetener to a bowl, a half teaspoon of vanilla extract, a pinch of salt, and a total of 4 tablespoons of heavy cream. This is where you can decide how thick you want your icing to be. Just don't add all the heavy cream at once. As you can see, I added 2 tablespoons of heavy cream at first, mixed that in, then added another and then another until I was happy with the consistency. Whoops, the hot cross buns are ready now, and here I'm just waiting for them to cool. And in the meantime, added the icing to a piping bag. And just piped some crosses onto the buns. And then I did a little design on some of them because who says we have to have crosses? And this is how they look, and now I just want to show you the inside. To me, they look exactly like regular hot cross buns. Lay on some soft butter, really thick, and oh boy, nope, I cannot taste a difference to the regular. Even the cranberry tastes right. Bottom line is, you don't have to cheat at Easter. Please be good and make these hot cross buns. They are absolutely delicious, and if you get to try them, please do let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and be well.